the question that's sometimes asked, who could next represent the USA in Formula One, the answer comes ringing in our ears, Colton Herta. And you might know that he's the 22-year-old, drives for Andretti Autosport in the IndyCar season, in his fourth full season. He's had 7 wins, the youngest ever actually driver to win an IndyCar. But who is he really? Well, we found out.
First race I ever went to would have been the Long Beach Grand Prix, the IndyCar race. So yeah, I grew up in Los Angeles, and so obviously racing Long Beach was about 40 minutes from my house. And it was always early April, and I was actually born in March. So my first race I ever went to, I was actually 2 weeks old.
Excellent.
I would have to think that it'd be in some sort of racing fashion. Whether that be management, PR, engineering, mechanic, I would still want to be in racing in some capacity.
I thought you'd say you'd be a drummer in a band.
Yeah, well, that's another good one too, but I'm not quite as good of a drummer as I am as a driver, so I don't think I would make it that far. I think I'd rather take the championship without winning a single race, even though that's a tough one. Oh yeah, I'm doing nothing, because I mean the season's so taxing, and that when I do get time off, I don't like to travel. I don't like to do much. Just hang around where I live, just training and doing my everyday thing, what I would normally do in the season when I'm home. I think the only thing that I would love to have is teleportation. But maybe even further from that, maybe teleportation where I can hold stuff or touch people and it will teleport them with me. I think that would be cool. It would be very lucrative, I would imagine. But I think just when you think about how much we're on planes and stuff during the racing season, I always think about that. I'd love to be able to teleport.
I always thought as a racing driver it'd be good to be able to go back 30 seconds.
Well, that's probably an even better one.
I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. I was actually quite struck by Colton being as young as he is, and yet having, kind of very interesting thoughts about how he could make money from teleportation. I'm going to take somebody with him. I thought that was really quite fascinating. Do we think he's, got a future in Formula One?
Yeah, I think he probably has, not least because he's got some very powerful friends within Formula One, Zak Brown being one of them. Many of the listeners will know that Andretti, for whom Colton races, are actively looking at an investment that might take them into Formula One. Not many people know that Zak Brown is actually on that management team of that investment group. So there's a very direct link there, which is extremely close. I think the other point is that, as you've already touched on, he's achieved so much. He's only 22 years of age. It's really important to take a driver out of America to come to Formula One at an early age before they come to, if you like, embedded in the IndyCar way of racing. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with the IndyCar way of racing, but it's just that if you're going to become successful in Formula One, you need to make the transition as soon as you possibly can. And even at 22, it's almost feeling like it's a little bit late. But he I think he can make that transition. So, he's an exciting young guy. He's got a lot of personality, and as you said, I mean, I love the interview. I love the clip of the drumming. My goodness, my former boss Eddie Jordan would love to work with him, since he's a big drummer too. So there's a lot about the guy. He's not just he's got a lot of depth to him, despite his young years, and I'm sure the energy is there to bring him in. Final thing that I'll say on this is that if you zoom out from the specifics around Colton Herta and look at the big picture, we have a Formula One that is owned by an American media company. We have a Formula One that, as of next year, will have 3 Formula One races in the United States, in Austin, in Las Vegas, in Miami. You have a Formula One which has seen a massive influx of American-owned corporate sponsors, and I'm thinking here particularly of sponsors like Oracle at Red Bull and Cognizant at Aston Martin. So we're seeing a lot of energy in the US market, and Colton Herta kind of represents the next exciting building block in cracking the United States for Formula One. And I think everyone knows that that's the thing that needs to happen.